my name is Rob, and today I'm going to make some soup. Welcome back to Rob's Randoms. This is a channel where I make videos about things that interest me, and recently I got a Too Good To Go bag that was packed full of vegetables and it was really good, but I couldn't use all of them before they went bad. Particularly, the Too Good To Go bag came with this massive bag of mushrooms. Now, I've already used some of them, I've baked them, I've fried them, but they are starting to go off and they need cooking. So I looked up what recipes can you make with mushrooms to make them keep better, and it seems that mushroom soup is a pretty simple, pretty decent option. So obviously there's lots of recipes online for making mushroom soup. They're all pretty much similar, but the one I'm using is from All Recipes. Link is in the description. So for this recipe, we will need butter, salt, onion, flour, thyme, garlic, vegetable stock, cream, and a load of mushrooms. So essentially this recipe is just cook the mushrooms, cook the onion, put all the seasonings in, and then blend it together. Then you've got soup. So hopefully it's a nice, simple, quick recipe that I can do, and then I can have soup for my dinner. So first things first, we need to go through all of these mushrooms, take off any dead bits, and thinly slice them. Now, I smelled the bag, and the bag is actually starting to smell off, but individual mushrooms are not. So I'm gonna have to go through and smell each one to see if it's worth putting in this or not. This one is fine. So we'll just get rid of that end piece. And then slice them relatively thin like that. I don't think it hugely matters because we're going to blend it. They all just need to be relatively small, relatively the same size. Right, that's all the mushrooms that I'm comfortable cooking. The other ones really do start to smell, but these ones seem fine, especially if I cook them down. I don't know if this is the right amount of mushrooms for the recipe. I haven't actually weighed them. I'm just kind of going by, well, these are the things that go in this. It's mushrooms and onion and seasonings, and then you put water in to thin it out. And if I've got not enough mushrooms and it would end up being thinner, I'll just put in less water at the end, you know? But while I'm here, I may as well cut up the onions as well. Now, the recipe does actually call for white onions, but I've got red onions because, again, these came in the Too Good To Go bag. So I might as well use them. There we go, that's the onion, that's my eyes watering. So let's start cooking these mushrooms. So for this we'll be using my trusty Le Creuset, and we'll start with a huge knob of butter. Alright, there we go, the butter is melted and it's hot enough, so now in with the mushrooms. And a pinch of salt, or maybe several pinches. I like salt. So now we need to let the mushrooms heat up and start to release all the liquid that's inside them. Easiest way to do that is just to put the lid back on. Okay, so at the minute the mushrooms have just absorbed the butter. So let's turn the heat down slightly. Let's add some more butter. And maybe even some oil. Nope. Okay, so I think the mushrooms are starting to release a little bit of liquid, although that could also be a mixture of the butter and oil that's in there. 10 to 20 minutes apparently to caramelize the mushrooms. Just need to make sure I keep them moving so that they don't start to burn and overcook in different places. So this has been cooking for 5 to 10 minutes now, and some of the bits of mushroom are starting to get quite browned. So I think I'm going to add the onions now, and then we'll cook that for another 10 minutes to cook the onions down as well. So the onion goes in. With some more salt. Okay, we'll just put the lid back on to give it a head start. Yeah, we're starting to get frond at the bottom of the pan here, so I'm going to have to put liquid in this soon. So I may as well start seasoning this. There we go, some black pepper. Now the majority of the seasoning here comes from thyme, and I've only got that much, so I might just put most of it in right now. Now before I put in all the chicken stock, I'm going to put some garlic in and let that cook for a minute. Now actually, before we put the vegetable stock in, it does say about putting some flour in to make a roux. But to do that, I think I'm going to put some more butter in first, because I don't think it's going to make much of a roux at the minute. Some more butter. This is such a healthy soup. Go, just let that melt for a second. And then we want about a tablespoon of flour. I'm not going to measure this, I'm just going to... That feels about right. So this is just to thicken it up. So now we're going to cook this for a minute, just to cook off the raw flour smell. And then when that is cooked, we dump in all of the chicken stock. No, vegetable stock. It says chicken stock in the recipe, but I'm making this vegetarian, so vegetable stock. That's about done, and I'm worried about the pan starting to burn. So now in with the vegetable stock. The recipe calls for 4 cups, which is about a litre. I've gone for about 600 ml, and I can put in more if I need to. Okay, let's turn that down. I was expecting quite such a vicious reaction. Now the recipe says to cook this for an hour, but I think that's because it's adding fresh thyme as a bundle, and you need that time for it to seep out into the soup. But I'm not using fresh thyme, so I think I'm only going to cook this for a few minutes, and then we can blend it and see how it goes. Let's give it a taste while it's cooking now. So this maybe isn't as mushroomy as I would have wanted, but maybe I just didn't put in enough mushrooms. Right, let's give that a minute. Let's give that another taste. Yeah, it's not as mushroomy as I would have hoped. It's very much the vegetable stock, but it's very nice. So let's blend that, and then let's put in the double cream, which is obviously going to make it taste really, really good. Now an interesting question is, how blended do I actually want this to be? Although this is a very thick soup if this is what I stop at, so I think I'm going to blend it a bit more. I do think that needs some more water actually to thin it out a bit. So let's just do whatever's left in the kettle. There we go, that's more of a soup consistency. Oh, it's really good. But you know what's going to make it even better? Adding a ton of double cream. That much? I don't know. I didn't really look at the recipe. So we don't have to whisk this, but let's just mix all that together. So this is my very easy, very simple mushroom soup. Let's give it a try. That is a really nice soup. Yes, it could have more of a mushroom flavour, but I used all the mushrooms that I had. With the cream in there, it's so delicious. And you're getting the mushrooms, you're getting the vegetable stock and the onions in there. But this is a really good soup. You can see just how easy this was to make, and I made it with stuff that was left over from a Too Good To Go bag. This is a really great soup if you like mushrooms. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do click like and subscribe, it really helps me out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. My name is Rob, and I will see you in another random video very soon.